It'll be close enough.
I think we're 7.
All right, you're good. All right, we'd all stand, start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, good evening, everyone. As we go through the agenda tonight, please remember the mission and our vision statements, as we do every board meeting, hopefully, and every day. Call to order, we do have a roll call. Let's see, we need the agenda approved. Do we have any changes, do we?
We do not, no.
Okay, the motion to approve the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda?
Yep. Thank you, Todd. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Thanks, Landry. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion, agenda approved. Hearing of delegations, we have none. We'll roll into consent items. You should have, consent items, a few extra in front of you.
And I wrote
Also.
on the back, it was kind of a timing thing, I got everything done, and that one came at the very end, and I'd already printed everything.
Sure.
So I just wrote it on there, and it is in the printed stuff on here.
Okay.
It was a big one, so I wanted to make sure that.
Yep. Well, those probably will be big as
Yeah.
they go through this
So a
project.
few months of those left, so. All the finance, everything is routine for this month. In October, we will do a financial review as, Lisa has finished the CAR, but then as we upload some of that information into our forecast models and tools, we can review our current finances and our forecasts in the coming years.
Questions with any of the consent items you received earlier and then ones in front of you? Not, we need a motion to approve consent items.
I do a motion to approve the consent items.
Thank you, Tom. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Todd. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Consent items approved. Board reports, none at this point. We'll move into your report, Joe, Superintendent.
Some preliminary enrollment information. This is something that the building principals complete every year in that first week and a half of school. It reflects, the number of students that we have in each grade at the time. We're always kind of hesitant with this information because it's not certified enrollment at this point. That won't happen until October 1st. So it's certainly not an exact, but it kind of gives us a good idea in comparison. In comparison to last year, the high school has a similar number of students. We were anticipating that being smaller. We really thought the high school would be about 20 to 30 less students this year than last year. Our middle school has more this year. Again, we probably weren't forecasting that way. So in both those cases, those are just new students to the district. Lucia Wallace has 28 more kids. We expected that as we have some big sections going through. Some of the biggest ones are at Lucia Wallace right now. Bryant, we expected them to be smaller as some of those big sections moved on to Lucia Wallace. Bertha Godfrey, very, very similar, which it is, a little bit bigger, 5 bigger. So early numbers we think are really good. And again, all of our financial forecasts that we've built over the past 2 years for sure, we had at least a 20 to 30 student drop in those forecasts, and it doesn't appear that we'll have that. So that's really good. Anytime we can just not lose, if we break even, we're really, really happy funding-wise. Anything on top of that is just really good news. Moving into some other information. Last year in October, the board approved an early retirement program for that fiscal year, for last year. In that approval, there was a motion with the intention of the program being in place for the upcoming four years. But legally we can't put it in place for multiple years at once. So it is something that we'll have to act on, and October is really what the month we're kind of planning on bringing an early retirement proposal to you guys. An early retirement program allows us to move closer to a balanced budget over a period of time. As we've looked at our forecast, and we did at the retreat this year, we're very balanced until 2028, and then there's some slight adjustments that need to be made to balance it at that time. Something like an early retirement is part of those slight adjustments. In the forecast models that we've built and we've reviewed as a board, we assume that 15 teachers will retire over the 4 years, and all of those will be replaced with a savings of $15,000 per teacher. That is a very conservative number. In some cases, it's much more than a $15,000 savings, but we use that as an example. Also, 15 teachers is a conservative number. That's how we've always built the models, but there's really, I think, 27 teachers who are eligible to retire in that 4-year time period. So both of those numbers are very conservative. On June 30th, 2024, so this past June, there were 15 eligible. As a district, we anticipated filling 14 of those 15 as they retire, but that's always dependent upon numbers, specifically class numbers and section size. This year, for the first time in a long time, we have 5 sections of every elementary grade, and we think that's really good for kids, and if we can maintain that financially, it's a good thing. The savings from replacing 14 of the 15 with that $15,000 per savings is around $300,000. Last year, our program was capped at 6 retirees per year. I would recommend that again, as it would be difficult to hire more than that at any one time. We know hiring's difficult. Hiring for early retirees, then when we get their applications in the fall, is easier than hiring for someone in March, April, or May. We're pretty effective at hiring in January and February. When there's good candidates out there, we can get good candidates to apply here and hire those people. So I would still cap that at 6 retirees per year. What I would like to do is bring an early retirement program proposal to you in our October board meeting. Planning on that proposal being the same as last year, which would be 5 years of health insurance, 1% of their teaching salary multiplied by years of experience. Typically, that's 25%, plus $25 of sick day for each person. But one, to get, if there's any other thoughts or ideas of that program being different, that's something we could talk about tonight.
No, I don't think, if we would get the more 27, we feel our management could handle more than what we kind of felt. Probably be, something to continue to.
Yeah, it could handle more if we continued to put in the amounts that we have been putting into our management, which we did back our management off some for this year. We'd probably want to keep that level for a few more years. So, yeah, that's a good question, Rodney. And we would have to, we could do it for sure by maintaining our current levels of that we're taxing in the management.
Okay. I guess I would assume that that's kind of, we thought last year, we'd do that for 4 years, and I don't see changing it makes any sense. I think we want to keep it consistent, that all the retirees early get kind of the same package. In a legal standpoint, it's important for us to, what we offer is equitable. What we offer each person is equitable. What we offer from year to year is equitable. And there's not one more of a benefit for an individual than another. Yeah.
Do we anticipate all 6 slots being filled?
Well, I guess I don't know if I can say anticipate, Jay. I would say hope. We're going to have close to 20 eligible. So, I hope 6 of those 20 choose to do that. And if we have more than 6, what we put in our program last year is that we would base that on years of seniority. So, the most senior person in the district who applies would be the first candidate, and then so on. So, if we do get more than 6, that's how we could handle that. Hopeful to get 6. It would be a good.
If we don't get 6 this year, and if we don't get 6 next year, if we do 1 and 1.
That all depends on finances. If we get to a certain point and our 4 years has ran out, which is kind of what we verbally have committed to, and our finances look good, I don't know if I would recommend it any longer. If it isn't, then I probably would. And I'd say it's something we need to extend.
I'm in favor of fiscally. I just want to make sure that we're not hurting ourselves by hiring candidate or getting candidates that aren't up to the task. I want to maintain a great
Yeah. Yep.
workforce for our students.
Yep.
And I think by doing it early, you're gonna get the best, the hopefully, that's,
Yeah.
There's no doubt the worst part about an early retirement program is we have tremendous teachers who leave us.
Yes, and that's my
Yeah.
main concern
There's-
is we're finding great replacements for
Yep.
them.
Yep, and I think that's priority. I do think Todd's right that we can hire well. I also think some of the programs we have in place, specifically with our instructional coaches, allow us to work with new staff in a positive way and have them affect kids, the way that we want to through instruction. So I think, but we do lose good teachers, for sure.
I'm just saying financially for us, if we didn't have anybody take advantage of it, does that put us in a bad spot?
No, it doesn't. Not until probably 2028, where we, in our financial models that we've built, those are making the assumption that 15 people will retire over those 4 years. So over this 4-year time period, if we don't have that number 15, we would have some decisions to make financially.
would it be possible to give a retiring employee the option of cash or insurance? As long as the cash is the same amount as the contribution towards the insurance, so, if premium goes up $100, they get an extra, extra $100.
When we've talked with 2 different groups, we've talked with our insurance brokers as well as our legal counsel. There's a concern that you can always offer an equitable amount. I think on a 1-year basis you can, because we can say the premium costs $1,200 or $10,200, and we're going to give you $10,200. It's over time. Can we make sure that the insurance premium the next year, what if it goes up 15%? Do we want to give 15% more cash in the next year? So I think that creates a situation we might not want to get into, because we do give out the benefit over a 5-year period, not just a 1-year period. And we have to do that because, we take that out of the management on an annual basis.
But if the insurance premium goes up 15%, you're gonna be contributing 15% more to their benefit, right?
Yeah, you would have to for it to be equitable.
Yes, so what's the difference if we contributed toward, and maybe I'm missing something, I don't know. What's the difference if we contributed towards an insurance policy or cash?
If they're always equal, I think there's a way you can do it. That's the one side of it. The other side, our insurance brokers, they wave their hands with red flags. And some of it has to do with setting precedent that you can take cash in lieu of insurance as a staff member also, which then changes our insurance pool, and changing our insured pool will certainly make our rates go up. And those are things that they're very, very nervous about, because what you do essentially in a cash in lieu of is you take your best insured, most healthy out and keep in the high risk or highest users. So without a doubt, and we're going on year 5 without increasing insurance premiums. So we want to do everything we can to keep that the same. I currently have created a survey that I'm going to send to all eligible retirees on what do they want. Do we have the majority who want cash? Do we have the majority who want insurance? That's information that I have asked a lot of those people. When we put our first program in place in 2019, that was the main question we were asking. So we'll put that out there. We'll get data towards this to see what our people are
District, the company left the district, they take it out of tax. If they get a person
nothing that needs to be decided or discussed tonight. Just something to plant that seed moving ahead if we want that different.
We sent out a survey to our people. All of our people that we send out school information.
Yeah, we send it to all of our
We
families.
send it to, put it in the newspaper.
Yeah, we send it, yeah. We can put it on social media for that matter. Yeah.
I mean, that's great, but.
Well,
That's what we're asking.
That's, I think that's the point.
Well, we call it-
It's
we
7
change it.
o'clock accessible. I think some would say, once you get to 7, people aren't coming back out. 5:30 is a more accessible time. I don't know if that's true or not, but I think there's probably an argument to be made.
School people send.
Yep, good idea.
All right.
We've had some great discussions with Chief Bo Miller about bringing a school resource officer into the school district. We're always looking to grow our environment to meet the needs of kids. SRO, I think, fits into that category of doing that. There was some legislation written during the past legislative session last year that would provide some funding or at least some flexibility in current funding to fund this type of position, but that legislation didn't pass, it didn't go through. I am very hopeful that legislation like that will be again brought up this year. I really feel it will be. I think we have local legislators who support that, and that's certainly one of the topics when I meet with them before the legislative session that we'll bring up. But just wanted, to communicate that to everyone to make sure they know it is something that we are looking at closely of how we can bring that to the district.
Is that something, I know we talked about this in our agenda review, how you would see a school resource officer used in our facility?
Yeah, that's a really good point, Brent. We see them as developing relationships with our kids, right? Another person in our buildings developing relationships and building rapport with our kids, which is a positive thing. And that's something that any time we can add to that, we think it's beneficial. And I think you have a good person in place that they really can do that. And they can bring some stability to your student body. They can be a helping hand with your student body, which is how we envision that.
We're talking about a school resource officer, we're talking about somebody who is trained in law enforcement.
Yep.
Either retired or, active and then potentially working, with our local law
Yep.
enforcement. But, it's more than just, there's been a lot of stuff on social media and different things, yes, get it. That's all great ideas. But the practicality is, we need to know how is it used in our school?
Yes.
So what does it look like? That's, as a board, that's things that I want to know before we potentially
Yep.
spend money, which, I'm in favor of it personally, but, how they interact, and it's more than just interacting with kids and being buddy with kids, like, what is the defined goal? Is it, is it discipline, is it, what's the word, truancy?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it, tardiness that they're running around, because we have administrators right now that are doing some discipline stuff that probably could be done by a school resource officer. Perhaps, I don't know.
Perhaps, I think, their role in truancy and chronic absenteeism, which is certainly taken on a different role this past year. I think they can play a role in that. We want them to be a supportive figure in that, because that's administratively the role that we take, and I think they can. Bo and I, we got as far as job descriptions. They gathered some things from other towns, other communities who have those. So we'll certainly be able to bring some of those things to you guys. And these are ideas we have, these are roles and responsibilities that we have, and where we see them fitting into our building. So there's no doubt we can do that. Again, very hopeful. One of the proposals is that we have some flexibility in the use of like save funds, for example. So it's not a general fund expense, it's a statewide sales tax expense. It would be be a shared expense between the city and the school district. 3/4 of the contract would be held by by us, and then the other quarter with the city. So I think there's, I just think there's a lot of positives that can come from it, building that together with them.
Thing that's tangible we can explore to create a better environment, safer environment for our students is definitely worthwhile.
So, I think we need to talk about like how does this fit into here, because this is a new discussion too, where we've had it, but into the forecast, where is this
Yeah.
rolling out?
Yeah, that's a big thing financially, where,
I mean, it's great if we can use different general fund, and so, I mean, we're talking about this is not gonna happen legislatively until January, February, March, if it even does, and we're looking at potentially next school year, even with those funds. But if we wanted to move ahead as a board, what would that look like for our general fund if
we did it that way.
we did it, rather than waiting, well, we're not gonna do it until we have additional avenues of funding?
And that's an easy thing.
Can we afford it now? If we can't, how do we budget for it for a year from now or 2 years from now, if it's something that we, as a board, think that's good for our school? So,
Yep.
there's good, it's not an overnight, yes, we're gonna make this happen, because then we're gonna get into budget problems and cut positions, and it's not actually good for kids or good for our district. But
Yep.
those are things that I want to know next.
When we get to the point of talking about roles and responsibilities, I think funding and sustainability of funding, which is always when we talk about new positions, how do we sustain this over time? We'll make that part of the proposal.
Next discussion tonight. Administrative report tonight. We have elementary.
Yes, we have our behavior leads and Mrs. Jill Schucher from the elementary here today to talk about, and Brad Sudol. Sorry, Brad. And talk about behavior leads. 3 new positions that we've put in place in the elementary this year at Bertha Godfrey, with Mrs. Deb Curry, at Prime with Mr. Barkram, and at Bush Wallace with Mr. Kramer. So tell us a little bit about the program.
Well, we have started off with student support leads. We changed the name to be a little more, proactive with that, and also looking at how we support the teachers with that. The goal of their job, when we talked about this, we talked about last spring, was to keep them and, keep all the teachers in the classroom and keep the students learning as much as possible with that. Kind of what do they do? It's on the next slide there, Jill.
Yeah, so back on that one, some feedback from teachers and some things that we were hearing. So like on the next one, like our primary focus of, we want students in the classroom as much as we possibly can, because we know that's where they're going to learn. And we want teachers in the classroom as much as we possibly can, because they're the ones that are doing the teaching. So there would be some instances like after recess, when kids would come in and have something to tell the teacher about maybe something that happened at recess. So then there's 5 minutes of the teachers working with a small group of kids and not with her other kids in her classroom. So that's where this position, we thought, could help out. That's just one situation where we're keeping teachers teaching, and then as many kids as we can in the classrooms learning too. So.
Yeah, sometimes that lasts more than 5 minutes.
Yeah, I know. Ideally, just 5 minutes, quick
Depending on the
conversation.
situation with
Sometimes.
fight at recess or
Some of our restorative conversations that we're trying to do.
conversations to have with the kids with that, so
Yeah.
it takes a little bit longer sometimes. So, kind of some of the things that they do is on this slide right here. The first one's kind of build positive relationships, which we talked about. They're out there in the morning, before school, during recess, out in the hallways, being visible in the classrooms with that, going around talking with kids, checking in with kids, kind of seeing maybe who a high flyer is, and checking in with them in the morning, see how they're doing, trying to be proactive with that.
And they have a lot of time that they spend, at recess duty and either just helping, sometimes play football, which Wallace can get a little intense. So Mrs. Grimmer can help with that, and lunch duty, and just a lot of check-ins to build those relationships and just being visible and around. And we kind of went with like when we started, is that it's a student support lead, so it's there to support everybody. And so letting the kids know that from the beginning too. Some of our students we may identify that have like daily check-in and check-out. So just depending kind of how the year started, maybe they meet with one of them right away in the morning. morning, how's your day going, what's your plan for the day, set a little goal, and at the end of the day, do a checkout, the same thing, just to reflect back. Sometimes they have a chart that the teacher's filling out, or some data that we're collecting or something, so then they can kind of check in with those kiddos to see if they met their goals for the day.
They provide kind of scheduled breaks with kids. I know that all three of these guys have worked on maybe certain individuals or certain kids having scheduled times for them to come and maybe take a sensory break for them to be proactive to help with de-escalate behaviors before they happen with that.
So that's kind of stuff that we talked about. Sometimes we make some little contracts with them, like if this happens, and the kid will sign it, so they know like exactly what's gonna happen, and they can plan for it, and they have options of breaks and things, so maybe they're gonna like flip their lid or something, they could try one of those other strategies that they're learning instead of flipping their lid.
Kind of all the stuff we've already talked about, like to collect the data that they talked about earlier. This was kind of that first one on call, the teachers that we talked with them before that contact one of these guys when a situation does arise to help them out in the classroom too as well. Kind of let these guys talk a little bit about some of the things they have done already this year. I mean, we're only how many days of the school year right now, and I know that these guys have been busy and they've been a great help, so who would like to go first?
I'll go first. So I'm Devin. I've been at the Birth Factory so far. I've been helping a lot with those preschool transitions, especially. I know some of these kids, it's their first experience in school, so we've had a lot of crying, a lot of tears, and so just being there to kind of help create that safe space. Like it's okay, like we're gonna have so much fun here, like let's go talk to some friends. I've been able to help with a preschool student who was not having a great time, and we worked together, and he came to my sensory room, and we figured out what was wrong and worked through that. I've also been able to be involved with a teacher, and we're currently creating a plan for a kindergarten student to just see what's gonna help them learn best and what we need to like implicate to help him stay in the classroom and be attentive and not be bothering the other 19 kids in the classroom. And just to help these kiddos be the most successful that they can be. Those are just a few of the things that I've been doing. I mean, I've got help with transportation, with busing, and recesses, and I've just kind of been a little bit of everywhere, but those are kind of the big things that I've been up to so far.
I guess I could say that in Bryant, I'm kind of hit the ground running. I've started tracking 6 new kids that definitely need some extra help. Every day I'm collecting data on them, but that includes all the other kids that already have plans in place, and then helping managing them. I think the biggest difference I've seen just recently is being able to go into those classrooms and help with that child so that the teacher can teach and the kids can learn. It's a bigger deal, I think, than people think in general. And on top of that, just keeping that load off of the teachers. They need to focus on their jobs. And I think I've been very effective in being able to do that. There are those other things, the recess times and the lunch times, but quite frankly, in Bryant, I don't get around to do that much because I'm busy helping a lot of people. So I do think it's very effective, and I do feel very appreciated by all of the teachers. I think that they are really glad that this position has come out.
I'm Brooke at Lucia Wallace. We started day one pretty much. Lucia Wallace kids are very competitive in 4th grade. So between recess, lunch, my biggest thing I've been working on is building relationships. It could be anywhere from home life to something that happened the week before to friends. Today it was an incident about a cat, missing a cat when they got on the bus. They didn't see their cat at their farm. So just trying to remind them that it's okay. Hopefully the cat will be there when they get home tonight. Also, just listening, being in a listening ear. Some of the students I have currently worked with, they just need somebody to talk to. They get upset because they don't understand an equation or reading or whatever it may be, and I go take a walk just to kind of calm them down, remind them that it's okay. You don't always, may not know it right away, but we're there to help you. Also, some of the students that are very shy and skittish from me, I'm starting to get hugs from them to build that relationship with them, or they check in and tell me, hey, my son currently plays on a football team, and they come up over the weekend and give you a hug, so that makes me feel pretty good. I am all over throughout the day. You just never know where I might be.
We laughed at the beginning of the year, just like how many steps they were getting in. They were hitting their step goals really early because they were all over the buildings. And I know at Bryant, they were like writing it on the calendar, how many steps they were getting in. So we didn't want to start with like formal data of this is the number of kids and this is, but just like in general, this is what our plan is and this is kind of how we foresee it happening. And then as we go through kind of figuring out what we really need and how it's gonna work. And I know Brad and I, we met with last Friday and just said like how appreciative we are. And not that all of these things, like I love to do all of these things to build relationships with kids and stuff, but I'm like, it's been so nice to like kind of do my job. I've been busy without all the things that they've been helping with, and I can't imagine like how to do it all. So I just really think it's great because it's been super. I think it's off to a great start, and so we'll just keep working to make it. And we thought maybe depending on how things go, like with board meetings and stuff, if we could come back in the spring and maybe share some success stories or some actual like numbers or something with you, just to finish telling their story of their year.
Perfect. And how it's went, the data to support that.
Great.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for all you do. Okay, we have a second board policy.
Second board reading of board policies. First 5051, which is the student progress reports and conferences. No changes to that in line with ACSD recommendations. 5053, the student honors and awards. We updated the sentence to include students who have not attended Algona High School during their last year of high school will not be eligible for honors and awards. Policy 5054, testing program, an additional paragraph regarding surveys, and the last one, 50405, graduation requirements, just changing those to what we approved as the proposal in May, making that board policy. Did I miss one there? Yes, lunch balances, yes. I'm sorry, language there to update how we communicate with families through email. This is really just to update that that is how we will do that in May, send out other forms.
Everybody get a chance to look at before. We talked a little bit about it last month. We just need a motion then to approve these updated policies.
Make a motion to approve the updated policies.
Jay, do we need to have a second?
I'll second that.
Thanks, Lane. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Policies updated. We've got first reading.
First reading, there's just two. And as we settle into, consistently in our policy schedule that doesn't include changes from legislation, there isn't near as many to look at, but two of them here, both of them, both 5062 and 5064, aligned with the IASB recommendation, the student director recommendation, and the student library circulation recommendation. So no changes will be recommended for those in our second reading next month.
We'll take a chance to look them over. And we'll move on. There's a fundraiser for the band.
We have a middle school band annual chocolate bar fundraiser to raise funds for the Adventureland Festival of Bands. They also use funds for equipment and instruments. They estimate about $8,500 of funds that would be collected from that. So I would recommend the approval of that request.
You're like chocolate solar for you.
Make a motion to approve the fundraising request.
Do you have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Next time we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Fundraiser approved. Open enrollments, if you don't look at here.
There are 9 open enrollment applications. All of these applications do meet requirements and deadlines as needed, so I recommend the approval of all 9 open enrollment applications. A couple things to note on this. March 1st is our open enrollment deadline. We've talked about that. For kindergartners, it's actually September 1st, so they have that one that's later. You see number also, there are no deadlines when you open enroll out to a virtual academy. So you'll see a few of those on there as well.
Is that Clayton Ridge?
Yeah.
Oh, it is, okay. I remember seeing K on, but I don't remember seeing that one.
Yep, those,
Conventions, ones that were virtual.
Make a motion to approve all the open enrollments.
Jay, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Thanks, Lane. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Open enrollment's approved. Resignation.
we have one resignation, Melissa Bremer from Middle School Teacher Associate.
So are we down, is she hanging out on that have to fill that spot?
We're gonna fill it in our next agenda item.
Yeah, right on top of that.
We need a motion, though, Lanny, to approve the resignation.
So moved.
All right, thank you.
I'll second that.
Thanks, Jay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resignation approved. Now contract.
Now contracts, we have Jason Mosier, bus driver, full-time bus driver, Bob Arnold, full-time bus driver, and Brittany Phillips, middle school teacher associate. Really excited about all three of those bus drivers. That's been certainly a point of emphasis. Jason will be fully licensed, I think, on Friday. Mr. Arnold, he'll be fully licensed here, working on that. And we are full teacher associates in middle school. So really excited about all three of those contracts.
Is it still quite a waiting period to get bus certification?
It is, that's another item with legislators. Mr. Mosier, for example, is an over-the-road trucker, already had his CDL, and still probably took a month almost to get certified after that.
Is it
So,
classes they have to take, or just,
yeah, classes, and they have to drive again, which I think is interesting that someone who's driving a semi-tractor trailer has to prove their driving skill in a bus. But yes, just a lot of steps. It's almost 30 hours of work by the time you're done. That's for a person who's already licensed with the CDL.
Probably expense too.
Very much, very much.
issue?
We do.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, any more discussion? Now we need a motion to approve the contract. So, thank you, Todd. Do we have a second? Thank you, Brent. We have a motion and a second to approve your contracts. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Contracts approved. All right, I have nothing else on the agenda. I want to thank our video auditor for being here today. And if everybody didn't know, we want to thank Tom for bringing treats. Happy birthday today. So happy birthday, Tom.
Thank you.
Yeah. With that, we need a
Well, a
motion.
better way to celebrate.
There you go. We need a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Thanks, Jay. We have a second. Thank you, Brent. We have a motion and a second. We are adjourned.
Right on the shoulder.
Dedication.
These obligations to you.
Take my time, over here, cups,
Came in a little bit, oh, I couldn't get over to you.
I didn't realize it. Same, but hope you like
They
it.
were going to middle school tonight.
They're excited.
Did you have a lot that night?
And
Just a few of them as you get ready for.